How are we, boys and girls? Welcome to the Going Down Under podcast. I'm your host, Braam Hein, Cruising Koala on all social media platforms, and here we'll be deep diving on all things health and fitness related. Hopefully, you're doing fantastic. Hopefully, the family's good with whatever it is that's going on. Hopefully, you are having the best day possible. Today's episode is about how to cut effectively, and by cut, I mean lose body fat and either gain or maintain muscle as much as we can. And that's like the concept of cutting. That's, if you don't know what that is, if you haven't heard that before, it's not losing weight. It's losing body fat and losing and gaining muscle or maintaining muscle in the most effective way possible, right? So today I'm going to cover why it's you should probably do this if you need to, and how to do it. And that's it. So that's all I'm going to be covering today. Okay, that's it. So why, when you're trying to lose weight, should you just try to lose fat and maintain as much muscle as possible? Because whenever you're losing weight, you want it to be good weight that you're losing. You want your body composition to be in a better position once you're finished losing weight. So the goal isn't to be lighter. Like, you don't want to actually just be a lighter person. You want to be a leaner and stronger person. And that's through cutting. And I mean, you can bulk afterwards if you want to, but most of the time people just need to cut and then kind of maintain that afterwards. And doing that isn't for everybody. Like, if you're already at a pretty lean body fat, you don't really need to cut. You can pretty much either maintain that and or build muscle from there. But I'd say most people's goals are to lose body fat, and they don't focus enough on the muscle maintenance portion of that. So how do we do it, right? There's 4 main ways that we attack it, right? That's through nutrition, training, recovery, and supplementation, right? That's the main 4 ways that we can do it. You don't actually really need the supplementation portion, but it is helpful if you are so inclined. So I will cover that today. I feel like we should talk about the mistakes first, though. So most of the mistakes that people make are trying to do too much, either too quickly or for too long. And by that, I mean they cut their calories way too much and then kind of starve themselves for a long period of time. And then your body's hormones crash, and then it just feel like pretty bad. And then it honestly might lead to more stress, and then more weight gain from that. And you can also go through starvation periods and then overeating periods, to which the starvation periods are actually outweighed by the overeating periods. Like, you see that a lot, where people will starve themselves and then eat way too little during the week, and then on the weekend they'll go ham, go crazy, eat 5,000 calories each day, and then you've actually, for the week, been in a caloric surplus, which you see a lot and happens a lot. That's why people are so confused when they don't lose weight, when they have cheat days or cheat whatever it is. So that's usually what happens with that portion. You can also be pretty heavily overtrained. You try to do too much cardio, or you try to do too much resistance training, and you just burn your body out, and then it gets destroyed, shut down, you get injuries. You can, again, crash your hormones because you're working out too hard and your body's working way too hard to maintain its weight that it's at. And because the body doesn't want to lose weight. It wants to stay at exactly where it's at right now in this current moment. So overtraining and starving then elicit a response from the body in terms of wanting to over consume calories or have to over recover, so then it just poos the bed, basically. Another big mistake I feel people look at, people look at the scale number instead of the mirror. And I feel like it's more important to look at the mirror and see changes rather than have a numerical value in terms of the weight number. And I've fallen for this in the past. I've looked too heavily into the scale weight and not at the body composition. I've done, like, previously I've done that pretty heavily, where I wanted to lose way too much weight way too quickly. But now I focus a lot more on how I look and feel during my cuts, like, well, one of the ones that I'm actually currently on, and it's helped out a lot. And I've actually been eating a little bit more, looking a little bit better, and the weight's still going down. So it's good to see, right? And people try to lose weight again instead of try to lose straight body fat and also build muscle at the same time. So sometimes you won't lose weight for maybe a week or two, maybe even like a month, but you look considerably better because you're putting on muscle mass while also maintaining sufficient weight loss in terms of body fat, so it actually evens out in terms of the number. So then you might not look at the scale and feel like see a different number, but you will look way different. You'll look stronger, you'll feel stronger, you'll look leaner, and you'll just look better, right? So those are all the mistakes that you want to cover. So here's how we're going to combat those mistakes and do it in the proper way. Okay, so nutrition, it is the biggest portion of weight loss and losing body fat. It is the biggest portion because the only way that you can do this is by being in a calorie deficit, right? And you don't want to be in too heavy of a calorie deficit because, like I said before, people do these starvation things where they go into 1,000 or 1,500 calorie deficit and then they just crash out, right? You want to be in a slight deficit. So you got to figure out what your maintenance calories is. You can do that on a 2D calculator. And you can also do it by just playing around with your calories on a weekly basis to see if you lose weight during the week with eating at this certain amount of calories, or if you didn't lose weight, then you'll have to obviously just lower it a little bit and then you'll be golden. So finding out what your maintenance is and then eating a slight deficit. By slight deficit, I mean 300 to 500. On the higher end, 1,000, but that's going for some pretty extreme weight loss. Like that's more so like a 2 pound a week kind of deal, whereas a 300, 500 is more like a pound a week, and that's going to be the most efficient way for you to lose weight is by doing a 300 to 500. There's going to be some days where you might want to eat a little bit more and eat more towards maintenance, and then there's also going to be some days where you can eat a little bit less and go towards a bigger deficit. And at the end of the day, it will even out eventually. But again, that is completely up to you. It's completely up to on a day-to-day basis. You just don't want to go too heavily into the deficit all the time. And that's all that is. You need to eat protein. I've said this a bunch before on all of my other pages and obviously on the podcast probably a lot because I mean we're 28 episodes in. I've probably talked about protein and at least 25 of them. You want to be hitting at least 0.6 per pound of body weight, or the best measure I think is for most people is to just eat a gram of protein in your goal body weight. So if you weigh 180 pounds and you want to weigh 165 pounds, eat at least 165 grams of protein a day. Because I feel like it also works better for people who are heavier. So if you're 300 pounds and you want to be 200 pounds, the recommendation that most people give is eat a gram per pound of body weight. So if you're going to be eating, it's going to be pretty hard to eat like 300 grams of protein. So getting for that goal weight at 200 is a lot more manageable for most people. If you are leaner or like smaller, then the eating at the gram per pound of body weight is still pretty good. So if you're 180 pounds, you can eat 180 grams of protein, and you will be pretty good. But the best measure that I've found for me and for other people that I have helped out is the gram per pound of goal body weight. That's pretty good. Timing of meals, it's completely up to you. How your schedule works. If you want to fast until 5 p.m., if you want to fast till 12, you don't even have to fast. You can eat as soon as you wake up. Protein timing and nutrient timing doesn't really matter as much as the daily. Again, the daily calorie expenditure and the daily calorie intake, that's all that matters. You could eat 2,300 calories if that's your cutting calories, sorry. You can eat that at one meal if you really are that desperate. I have done that before. It's like I fasted for like the entire day and just ate 2,300 calories at 6 p.m. And I was good. I was very, very full, but I was good for like that day, and I lost weight. And I was pretty progressively cutting at that point. So that's all that matters for that. You don't really need to eat every 3 to 4 hours with 30 grams protein per meal. It doesn't matter. Just the total protein intake for the day and the total calories for the day is all that matters. And also focusing on hitting macronutrients. You don't have to hit every single one, but just eating foods that are dense in macronutrients like fruit, vegetables, potatoes, meats, dairy, those kinds of things will aid you because you will feel more satiated, you'll feel better. Um, that's just something that is good for you and will ease the process. Because if you're eating all processed things but still hitting your macros, like the if it fits your macros kind of diet, you won't feel as good. You'll hit your goals, but you just won't feel as good during that. So I would recommend getting the nutrients in as much as you can. Okay. Training. So the minimums are resistance training 3 times a week. And that's it. That's all you have to do, really. I mean, you can do 2. That's like that's you're gonna be pushing it a little bit, but you can do 2 times a week. You can do up to 5 to 6 times a week. I would like that's a lot, especially in the cutting phase. So I'd recommend at least 3 to 4. But that's the only thing that's like full on a must when you're trying to lose weight and maintain muscle, because the building muscle portion, the maintaining muscle portion is heavily due to the protein and also the resistance training portion, because your body needs the stimulus to need to have the muscle. So doing resistance training and all that kind of jazz and compound movements, squats, bench, dead, is enough stimulus for your body to say, okay, we actually do need to keep this muscle on, so we're going to keep the muscle on. And cardio isn't necessary. You don't have to do that. It is a very, very good tool, though, for fat burning, and because you're burning more calories throughout the day, so then you're able to eat a little bit more and or eat the same amount and burn more calories in a day. So then you don't have to adjust the food. You can just add a little bit more cardio. That's what most people do, and that is a good tool for weight loss. But I don't think people realize that cardio isn't the thing that is burning the fat. It's just eating. It's just helping you burn more calories throughout the day. Not by a lot. It's like 100 to 300, depending on how active you are. But it's something that people don't really focus on. The big thing that people should focus on is their NEAT, so their non-exercise activity thermogenesis. That's just what you're burning through non-exercise, and that's pretty high throughout the day. It's a pretty big chunk of how many calories you burn in a day. That's like walking around, doing chores around the house, tapping your leg, doing random things throughout the day, moving slightly, like eating. That is technically non-exercise activity thermogenesis because you're moving your body. That can burn a lot of calories if you not necessarily focus on it, because you don't have to focus on it, but just are aware of how much you're moving throughout a day. Like how many steps have I done today? I've done 12,353 steps at 5 p.m. today. That's a lot of steps, and that's really aiding me in this cut that I'm doing, because I'm burning so many more calories throughout a day so I can eat a lot more and feel good and still be losing weight. The 10,000 step requirement, or that people always talk about, that's just the non-exercise activity thermogenesis portion of weight loss. And it is also good for your cardiovascular health, obviously. But 10,000 isn't a do or die number. Just getting as many steps as you can throughout a day for your day, if that makes sense. So if you sit for a lot of the day, like 8 or 9 hours, and you're forced to sit down, I don't know what job that is, but you probably should not be in that job. So you can realistically only get 5 to 6,000. That's still decent. So do that as much as you can. Just don't be anywhere near under 4,000, because that's just bad for you as a human being. Like, it's just not good for any of your health markers, any of your joints, any of your tissues, any of your bones, any of your muscles. So just avoid that as much as you can. And also within those resistance training sessions, trying to progressively overload as well as much as you can, like adding 5 to 10 pounds on each lift each week, or adding a few more reps, adding a few more sets, however you can. Doing that will aid you and will also help you build the muscle, because if you are in a slight deficit, you still can build muscle and still get stronger. So that's where that portion comes from, is the progressive overload throughout the resistance training. Okay, so looking at the recovery portion of fat loss and everything, sleep is your biggest friend, because muscle growth happens not when you're in the gym, but when you're recovering. Because when you're in the gym, it's tearing. When you're recovering and you're sleeping and you're de-stressing, you're lying down, that's when your body's like, okay, we just had this hard session. We need to build more muscle. We need to be bigger. We need to be stronger, so that when this next session happens, we cannot die under the weight. That's what it's doing. It's trying to survive. And if you put it under stress, under a like external load, it's going to be like, okay, this external load is happening frequently, so we need to do something about our muscle in the body. So we're going to build it, we're going to make it stronger, we're going to make it more adaptive to these exercises. That's what happens during recovery, and that's why you get bigger over time. Because if you didn't get bigger over time, it was only because of the resistance training during the session. That wouldn't make sense, because all you're doing is tearing the muscle during that session. Okay. So sleeping is huge. It's huge. At least 7 to 9 hours. So 7+ hours. 7 to 9 is the good range that people aim for, and I would say that's a pretty good marker for if you're recovering properly. Like at least getting 7 hours. There's going to be days, obviously, where you're not going to get 7. We might only get 6 because of kids or work, or just your schedule was just cooked that day, or you had a party or something like that. So just getting it as much as you can to aid in your journey. Otherwise, if you're getting consistently under 7, you will have cortisol spikes, which is just bad. It's not good for your hormones. It's not good for, it impairs a lot of weight loss mechanisms. And that just also just increases in stress, increase cortisol, and all that kind of stuff. So what did I say? You will have increased cortisol, which will just impair a lot of the fat loss mechanisms that you don't want to impair, such as like it will decrease testosterone, increase your ghrelin and leptin, your hunger hormones, so that just make you want to eat more the next day, and it's just not going to be good for you. Okay. That's really it on the recovery portion. Having like recovery days is important as well. So if you're doing 3 resistance training X sessions a week, and you may be doing like 2 cardio sessions, you can either put them on the same day or put them on different days, and then having at least 1 active recovery session, maybe a mobility session, something like that. Just get the blood flowing, but not to put the body under too much stress, and you'll be swimming like that. Supplements, again, you don't need any of these things. They are beneficial. One thing I will say is avoid fat burners, because they're usually extremely underdosed and just way too overhyped. Most fat burners have like green tea extract in them. Just drink green tea. Like that's the main fat burning, because like green tea has been seen to help burn fat during a day. Obviously, it's not a drastic amount, but people just then use those studies to make supplements, and then just put green tea in it, and then make it, and then label it as a fat burner, which I've fallen for them before. I'm telling you this now. Don't believe that. The 2 main supplements that I want to talk about, whey protein. I don't count as a supplement because it is technically a food. It is a whey. Whey is food. Whey is milk isolate. So obviously that is technically a supplement if you don't consider it a food like I do. But so take that if you need to. But creatine and caffeine. Caffeine is an appetite suppressant, and is also gives you a boost of adrenaline, gives you some cognitive benefits. So that is helpful if you're trying to lose weight, as you will be less hungry if you have like a black coffee or a Monster or however you take your caffeine. You will be less hungry if you have those in your day, and it'll also give you a little energy boost, energy kick in the morning or in the afternoon where you take it. I would avoid taking it 12 hours before sleep, because that can impact your sleep, and then it will again impact your recovery, which then we don't want that. Okay. Creatine, the most studied supplement on the planet. It's literally in my name. Like that's how much I believe in it. Like it is so good for muscle growth, muscle hypertrophy, muscle endurance, cognitive support, muscle size. It's just fantastic. You will get a little bit of water retention because what's happening is that it's increasing your ATP-PC stores in your body, and it's also increasing the storage of water within the muscles. So that's why you get a little bit of water retention within it. That'll even out after a few weeks and after a month of you taking it. But it's not going to affect any muscle loss, and it's also not going to. It's actually going to it's actually going to impact muscle growth a lot more. And if you see the scale weight going up, it's not because you're gaining fat because of the creatine, it's just because you're gaining water. That's not like a bad thing at all. It's just making your muscles more full, which is just in turn making you look leaner and look bigger, if that makes sense. So I heavily believe in creatine. Heavily believe in creatine. That's really it, honestly. I thought I had more to say. That's it. You just need to focus on being in a slight deficit, eating a shite ton of protein as much as you can, and not worrying about the entire day in terms of timing, just worrying about the entire day in terms of your total caloric intake and total protein intake. Also getting nutrients in wherever you can. Training, you have to resistance train. That's the main thing. Cardio is a tool. That's it. And then progressively overloading within the gym as much as you can in terms of reps, sets, volume for the entire session, whatever you need to do. And then also focusing on moving more throughout the day in other forms that aren't too intensive, like getting some more steps in or give some more chores throughout the day. And recovery, sleeping 7 or 9 hours, trying to reduce stress as much as possible. Sups, creatine, and caffeine. Those will help you. You don't need them necessarily, but I heavily suggest creatine, and I also am a big advocate for caffeine. And that's it. That's going to be your cutting plan. That's how you're going to do it easily and effectively. Sorry if I'm a bit all over the shop. I just can't go shift. So it's kind of tweaking out a little bit, but we're good. So episode 28, excited for episode 29, nearly at 30, nearly at over half a year. Wow, that's crazy. Few episodes left, and then we're swimming, dude, and then we're going. Very, very excited for where this is going. Very excited for where everything's heading. I really appreciate all the love and support from anybody who watches and likes and subscribes and all that jazz, and likes all the videos on Instagram and TikTok. I really appreciate everything. So I'll see you guys next week. Let me know if you guys want any topics for me to talk about, and